Hey, what's up guys, Money with Amy here, where I talk about anything and everything related to money and how to grow your wealth. In my previous video, I talked about real estate in Singapore, and today I want to talk about which one is the better buy. Is it going to be public housing like HDB BTO or resale flats, or private housing like condominiums? And I'll talk a little bit more about how much you should be making before you can afford a HDB or a condominium. I'm not going to go super in depth about the details of HDB eligibility. You can watch my previous video about real estate in Singapore for that. I'm just going to assume that you're watching because you want to know which one's the better buy, especially if you're on the fence between buying a HDB or a condominium. Or maybe you're just like considering it and doing homework for your future. That's fine too. I would almost always say that getting a BTO with the Housing Development Board would be the better investment, especially with government subsidies and grants. That's just like a huge plus to me. And those money are essentially free money, right? For a foreign BTO in a non-mature town like Tenga, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. You're looking at $260,000 to $300,000. And for a 5-room BTO, you're looking at close to about $400,000. First-time home buyers will be eligible for up to $45,000 in grants if you buy a BTO in a non-mature estate. But if you're the lucky or unlucky few, depending on how you see it, and you're earning more than the income ceiling and can get a BTO, should you buy a resale HDB or a condominium? There are many people who are sandwiched in this awkward position where it's like you can't qualify for a BTO because you and your spouse are making more than that $14,000 combined salary a month limit. But if you get a condominium, you're going to be overstretching your budget and what you can actually afford, and that's going to put a strain on your finances. These are the points I want to address in this video. So, what are the key differences between HDBs and condominiums? The first is the tenure. All HDBs have a leasehold of 99 years, and condominiums have 3 types of leasehold, right? 99 years, 999 years, and freehold. If you're buying a private property, it's better to buy it freehold because then you can own it outright for an indefinite period of time. But with 99 years and 999 years, once the lease is up, it's going to go back to the owner of the land, which is either the developer or the Singapore government. The second is the down payment. HDB requires a minimum down payment of only 10% of its property price if you get a loan directly from HDB. And this can be cash or money from your CPF accounts or a mix of both. You can also choose to get a loan from a private bank for your HDB. But private bank loans have a minimum down payment of 25% for both HDB and private housing loans. 5% of the 25% required for private housing loans would have to be paid in cash, and the remaining 20% can be paid in cash or money from your CPF account or a combination of both. 25% for a HDB is going to be a lot different than 25% for a condominium because the home prices are just so different. The third difference is the loan amount that you can qualify for. Many experts believe that you should only spend 20 to 30% of your income for housing, which is widely known as debt-to-income ratio or the total debt servicing ratio in Singapore, TDSR. The total debt servicing ratio, TDSR, is kept at 60% for private home loans. So if you're making $5,000 a month, your monthly loan repayment cannot exceed $3,000. In my personal opinion, you shouldn't really stretch yourself so thin. If you're spending 60% of your income towards your mortgage, that would mean that you won't have enough money for investing. Yet you see many people spending 50 to 60% of their income on mortgage, their utilities and their bills, and in Hong Kong, people spend as much as 70% on all their housing needs, which is why Singaporeans are known to be asset rich but cash poor. But really don't. The house that you're living in is a liability, and try not to be cash poor because of that. For HDB and EC loans, you have to take into consideration the MSR, mortgage service ratio, in addition to the TDSR. The difference between MSR and TDSR is that MSR limits the amount of money you can borrow based on your income, and that is kept at 30%. So if you make $5,000 a month, the MSR limit is $1,500. And if you have any additional income that are not fixed, called variable income, you can only use 70% of that variable income as part of your total income. So let's say you're making $5,000 a month and you have $1,000 extra in passive income. You can only use $700 of that $1,000 as part of your MSR calculation, bring that to a total monthly income of $5,700, which would mean that your MSR limit is now $1,710. MSR does not take into consideration other debts that you may have, like credit card loans, student loans, car loans, but TDSR does factor in all your other debts. So in short, MSR limits the amount of money you can borrow based on your income without considering other loans you might have. But for TDSR, it accounts for all of your loan repayments, including outstanding loans. For TDSR, 60% of $5,000 is $3,000. All of your debts and loan repayments cannot exceed this amount. So let's say you have a MSR of $1,500, a car loan of $1,000, and a student loan of $1,000. That adds up to $3,500, which is more than the TDSR limit of $3,000. Then you wouldn't be able to qualify for the loan unless you reduce the loan amount by buying a cheaper home or putting more money down. So for HDB and EC loans, you have to take into consideration both MSR and TDSR, but for private properties, only the TDSR. And let's not forget about legal fees that people tend to forget or don't factor into their calculations. They are going to be extremely different for public housing and private housing. There are two main types of legal fees in Singapore: stamp duty and conveyance fees. Stamp duties depends on your residency status and how many properties you currently own in Singapore. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume you're a Singaporean purchasing your first home, since foreigners do not qualify for a BTO. And if only one spouse is a Singaporean or a PR, you can only buy a 2-room BTO or a resale HDB. And if you're a foreigner purchasing a private property like a condominium, you will have to pay 20% additional buyer stamp duty for each and every property that you buy. I'm going to pull up a chart I made in Excel so it's easier for me to explain and for you to understand and realize the shit you're getting into. We're going to use the average price for a 4-room HDB BTO at $300,000, a resale 4-room HDB at $600,000, and a 3-bedroom condo at $1.5 million. And we will assume a HDB loan of 90% for both the BTO and resale HDB, and a 75% private bank loan for the condo. So for the minimum down payment and the loan amount are going to be as follows: $30,000 down payment and $270,000 loan amount for BTO, $60,000 down payment and $540,000 loan amount for resale, and $375,000 down payment and a $1.125 million loan for the condo. Legal fees for BTO are estimated at $200, $1,317 for resale, and $2,500 for condo. Stamp duty for BTO will cost you about $4,200, $12,600 for resale HDB, and $44,600 for a condo. The ones highlighted in pink are legal fees, stamp duties, and option fees, and they have to be paid in cash. And you can't add this to your loan amount. We'll estimate the property tax, maintenance fees, and insurance at $20, $90, and $5 for both the BTO and resale HDB. And for the condo, we'll estimate it at $210, $250, and $20. Let's take a look at monthly mortgage payment based on current interest rates of 2.6% for HDB and 1.5% for bank loans. And if you add up the property tax, maintenance fees, and insurance, your monthly payment would be $1,196 for BTO, $2,277 for resale HDB, and $3,153 for the condo. So if you buy a condo, it will be more than 2.5 times the BTO monthly mortgage. And we haven't even factored in the grants that you can get from the Singapore government when you buy a BTO or a resale flat, because there are no grants given when you buy private properties. After looking at the numbers in this chart, are you still going to buy a condo even if you can afford it? Look at this, man. You guys decide on your own. If you have noticed in my spreadsheet, all of the fees are a lot higher for condos than HDBs. Let's not forget that condos have amenities that might include a pool, a gym, playground for kids, and gated security. They also come with a non-negotiable monthly maintenance fee. And this is the price you have to pay for owning a private property. And if your goal is to own a landed property, woohoo! You better be making bank. And essentially it comes down to the lifestyle that you want. There are 3 important things you need to know before buying a home. The first is, what is your total monthly salary? This includes any passive income or side hustles, and if you're buying together with your spouse, you'll need to know the total amount for both people. The second is, what are your expenses? student loans, car loans, and average living expenses across 12 months. This is why it is important to track your expenses. The third is how much have you saved for down payment. This is often the make or break factor, especially when you have to fork out 25% minimum down payment if you purchase a condo or if you get a private bank loan for your HDB. You may even choose to factor in your CPF money here, but there may be situations where I wouldn't touch the money in my CPF, but instead pay with cash. And if you're interested to know more, I can break this down in another video. Just let me know in the comments below. But at the same time, even if you have that 25% down payment, should you buy a private condo? You know those affordability calculators that you see online that tell you can afford way more than you actually can? Take those at surface value. Now, just because you can take on a higher loan amount doesn't mean you should max it out. Alright, so let me give you an example so you have a better idea. Let's say both spouses are making $5,000 each, which brings that to a total of $10,000. Or if you're a single person making $10,000 a month, using the 28% rule, your total housing expenses should not exceed the amount of $10,000 times 28%, which is $2,800. This includes the mortgage, which is the principal payment, interest, as well as your property taxes, insurance, and condo maintenance fee if you're buying a condo. That means for a monthly salary of $10,000, you can only pay a maximum of $2,800 towards housing expenses. Let's take a look at the chart from earlier again. If you're buying a BTO, you're well under that 28% limit since your total monthly payments for housing is $1,200. And you can still afford a resale HDB at $2,300 a month. And since your combined monthly salary is $10,000, you are under the income ceiling cap of $14,000. So just get the damn BTO. Some people choose to get a resale HDB or a condo instead of a BTO because of other factors like location, right? It could be because it's close to their workplace, close to their parents, or maybe in an area with better schools. You just have to know what's important to you. Ideally, you can get a BTO, live in it for at least 5 years, and then consider getting a resale HDB or a condo. Okay, what if your combined monthly salary is more than $14,000 and you can't qualify for a BTO? Well, good for you. But like I mentioned before, it's going to be the down payment that's going to matter. And let's pull up the chart again. The total upfront cost is going to be about $422,000 for a condo, but only about $70,000 for a resale HDB that is selling at $600,000. And look, I'm not asking you to buy a resale HDB that's selling for $900,000 or $1 million because at that point, I would consider buying a freehold condominium because God knows how many years those HDBs have left in them and when their value is going to start depreciating as the years go down. But with freehold properties, they tend to hold their value and keep up with inflation. And don't forget that land is scarce in Singapore. You want to set yourself up in a comfortable position where you're not spending more than 30% of your monthly income towards housing expenses. That way you have more money set aside to invest in, say, the stock market and then grow your wealth. Because if you spend more than 30% of your total combined monthly salary on the house that you're going to be living in, it's kind of like putting all of your eggs in one basket. Don't overextend yourself and buy more than you can afford. And you're going to be trapped for at least 3 to 5 years before you can sell it without incurring any additional fees. And in most cases in Singapore, selling it within 5 years usually results in a loss. Not to mention getting stuck in a mortgage for at least 25 to 30 years, right? That's a huge commitment. The house you buy to live in as a personal and primary residence is not considered an asset, at least not to me. As a real estate investor, I think of it as a liability because it's not generating any cash flow and you're paying out of pocket every single month. And your primary residence is a liability unless you own it outright and paid in full. And like I said in my previous video, some of you might not agree with this statement and we can agree to disagree. So with that said, in my personal opinion, I would suggest you to choose a BTO over a HDB resale flat or a condo if you can qualify for it. And if you're in a situation where you can't qualify for the BTO, then it will be based on the deal that you're getting. If it is an affordable HDB flat, which is less than 20 years old, I'll consider it. Or if it's a freehold condominium that's selling for below market value. And I just have to put it out there. I'm not a fan of any of the 99-year condos, so even if it's located in Marina Bay or Sentosa, even if I have the money, I'm not buying it. I hope this video did not overload you with too much information and provided some sort of value to you. whether it is to help you in your decision or to take into consideration all of the factors I mentioned. If it did, please destroy the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And feel free to follow me on my Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again next time. Adios!